Let's get into some Shedeur Sanders here. An unprecedented fall to the fifth round. I did not see this coming at all. I've honestly been dying to talk about this. I really didn't think that he was that bad compared to all these other quarterbacks. And like, it was a weak quarterback class. I mean, everybody knows it was a weak quarterback class. And a lot of people had Shedeur Sanders ranked the number 2 prospect, including me. I didn't think guys like Dylan Gabriel or Tyler Shaw, like I didn't think those guys were better. Like, no offense, even Jackson Dart. Like, and Jackson Dart was one of those guys I was like thinking like, well, maybe he's better than Shedeur Sanders, but I don't know. I've seen some moments where Jackson Dart has just not looked that great. His decision making was bad. But then I was saying the same thing about Shedeur Sanders. And then when something came to my attention when it came to like, why is he actually falling? And I talked to many people about how he doesn't have good character. He's cocky. He's always bragging about himself being a Sanders. That may be the case, but I wouldn't have said, yeah, just because of those things, just because he had bad interviews means he's going to fall to the 5th round. Now, I could say maybe that's why he falls to like the 2nd or 3rd round, but not the 5th round. And there are also reports saying that he wasn't showing up prepared to interviews and also film studies with certain coaches. Brian Dable, New York Giants head coach, was one of those guys. And I just didn't really think that that was going to happen. I mean, in where he got picked was just strange to me. I mean, he went to the Cleveland Browns, but I mean, the Cleveland Browns took 2 quarterbacks, and I don't know what this general manager in Cleveland's talking about. So you guys got to hear what this guy had to say, because it's just so bad, man. Cleveland is just praying to the football gods that one of these quarterbacks works out.
Shedeur, we talk oftentimes about quarterback being the most important position in the sport. We obviously spent a lot of time with Shedeur throughout the process. He's highly accurate, can play well from the pocket, very productive college career. And, we felt like it wasn't necessarily the plan going into the weekend to select 2 quarterbacks, but as we talk about, we do believe in best player available. We do believe in positional value, and we didn't necessarily expect him to be available in the 5th round. And so we love adding competition to every position room, and adding him to compete with the guys that are already in there. We felt like that was the appropriate thing to do.
Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you right now, it wasn't the appropriate thing to do, because let's just start from the beginning of the draft for the Cleveland Browns here, because this is all going to tie in. So you trade the number 2 overall pick. You let the Jaguars snag Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders' right-hand man. They played together their entire college career, going back to Jackson State. I mean, you could have had Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter on the exact same team. And that's bread and butter. I mean, you can't pass that up. Ever. You can't. Their chemistry is unmatched. And I know for a fact, if you're going to get those 2 teams, if you're going to get those 2 players on the same team, they're going to figure it out. Because their chemistry it's not like anybody else's. It's just not going to be, because the amount of time that they spent together. And for him to say, well, we didn't know we were going to draft 2 quarterbacks. Why would you draft 2 quarterbacks? First of all, that's what I don't get. You already have Joe Flacco. You've got Deshaun Watson. He's probably not even going to suit up in a Cleveland Brown uniform ever again. You got Kenny Pickett. You traded for him in the offseason. Then you drafted Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round, which made 0 sense at all. I mean, why would you trade for Dylan Gabriel? That guy had played college football for 5 years. He transferred to Oregon. He's been bouncing around. I really wasn't impressed with what I saw of him in the college football playoff. And then you draft Shedeur Sanders, and you haven't posted Dylan Gabriel nearly as much as you have with Shedeur Sanders on your social medias, Cleveland. You haven't That's just a fact. Shedeur Sanders already has the number one selling jersey as a Cleveland Brown. That is a fact. So why wait? That's what I think people are trying to figure out. And my take is that, every team passed on him. Every team passed on him. No one wanted Shedeur Sanders. That's the bottom line here. Because Shedeur Sanders, if you look at him as a prospect, he has a lot of flaws just as a player. But I feel like those flaws as a player weren't really the conversation. I think it was his mental. I think it was his attitude. Because let's be honest, if you put Jackson Dart and Shedeur Sanders right next to each other, you could point out very similar flaws when it comes to bad decision making, bad throwing, tried to do too much. It happens. But it was the attitude thing. It had to have been. And then you've got the Atlanta Falcons getting fined $250,000, and then the defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich, getting fined $100K because his son made a prank call being the Saints GM telling him, hey, we're going to take you with our next pick. And then he's like, you got to wait a little bit longer. And we're going to listen to that prank call right now because that's crazy stuff. First of all, I don't really think that it's okay for a monumental moment like this to be made fun of. Because if I was in Shedeur Sanders' shoes, I'd be like, yo, I've just been waiting to get drafted. This is an important moment to me. I've worked my whole life to get here. And then some 21-year-old kid calls me. And first of all, why is he not getting fined? Why is Ulbrich getting fined? And I know the reason they fined Ulbrich on paper was because they weren't able to conceal confidential information, which is fine, but you can't hold him specifically accountable for that, especially when his son is over 18. I'm just saying. That's my personal opinion, but we're going to listen to the prank call right now. I'm sure a bunch of you guys have heard it already, but if you haven't, here's what it was.
This is Mickey Loomis here, the GM of the New Orleans Saints. How you doing? This is Mickey Loomis here, GM of the Saints.
How you doing?
Good, how are you, man?
Good, been waiting on you.
Yeah, we have. It's been a long wait, man. We're going to take you with our next pick right here, man.
This ain't gonna be nothing to you.
Yeah, but you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, man. Sorry about that.
Oh my God! He bought it! He bought it! Oh.
At first, I thought this was funny. Not gonna lie. I thought it was funny. But the more you sit there and try to relate to the human, you're just like, I kind of feel for Shedeur a little bit here. He doesn't deserve that. He hasn't been that cocky. He hasn't been that arrogant, has he? Has he deserved that? That's tough to say. That's tough to say, man. No person deserves to be prank called like that. Hey, you're getting drafted. Nope, psych. No, you're not. That's basically what it was. And this draft is nuts because no one's talking about the number one overall pick, Cam Ward. That's the thing that blows my mind about this whole entire draft is that the number one pick, and this is just so strange to me for even the NBA draft and the NFL draft. The last two drafts of those leagues, the number one pick's not talked about. And Cam Ward's a star, but when you got Sanders over here on the back of your jersey, that's going to carry some weight. He's going to be the most talked about fifth round pick in NFL history. That's the bottom line facts there. And even though Cleveland, I don't know what's going to happen in that quarterback room. you've got 4 quarterbacks technically. Deshaun Watson's not even really a player on Cleveland, especially when he tore his Achilles twice. He's done. So you've got 4 quarterbacks on that roster. Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders. One of those guys has to go. One of them. I don't know if that's going to be Pickett because he just was a backup on a Super Bowl winning team. And I don't know if Cleveland values that. Joe Flacco, he's had success in Cleveland. Then you go to the 2 rookies. Now, do the Browns use Shedeur Sanders in a trade? I think that is a possibility, or maybe Dylan Gabriel if they end up liking Shedeur. Because the Browns have had no luck with quarterbacks. I mean, the most luck they've had with a quarterback is Baker Mayfield, and they treated him like absolute garbage and traded him and got Deshaun Watson. And that's how they treated him for him winning the Browns' first playoff game in, I think it was a decade. It was a long time. And you just do that. I mean, I don't know what Cleveland's doing. They are a mess. Some people thought it was smart for them to trade the 2nd overall pick. Some people didn't. At the time, when you're not seeing the rest of the draft and you're just focusing on the first round, that move is smart because you're getting an interior defensive lineman in Mason Graham and you're getting a 2026 first round pick from the Jaguars. So it's not a bad trade. It's not a bad trade on the surface. But then you could have, Shedeur falls and falls and falls and falls and falls. And you realize, oh, they could have had Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders on the same team. That's when you kind of step back and you're like, oh, man, I don't know if that was the right call. I don't. That's part of the problem that I have with this right there. But I don't know. It's going to be a weird quarterback room in Cleveland, man. It's going to be strange.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Broadway paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put my